Ortiz was being saved. He was being saved for Deontay Wilder. So they had to keep him. They had to keep him like a mummy. They had to keep Luis Ortiz like a mummy locked away. And then they'd wheel him out for Deontay Wilder. Why would they do that? Well, I'll explain why. It's because Luis Ortiz is only one of 3 legitimate top 10 fighters that Deontay Wilder has ever fought. The first one was Bermane Stiverne back in the Dizay 4 years ago. That's how he won his WBC belt, by beating Bermane Stiverne, the first top 10 fighter he had fought in his 11-year career. Bermane Stiverne, just about scraping in the top 10. Then there was Luis Ortiz, seen here. He was the second top 10 fighter, legitimate consensus top 10 fighter that Deontay Wilder fought. A man reputed to be 40 for 10 years straight. He's been 40 years of age for 10 years straight. So you say, well, why wouldn't they let PBC? Why wouldn't PBC let Luis Ortiz fight outside of PBC? Somebody like Joshua for $7 million. Why wouldn't they do that? Why would they not allow that to happen? Well, if they allowed that to happen, then they've taken a legitimate top 10 guy out of PBC and into the open market. Now, just imagine that Dillian Whyte fought Luis Ortiz. Just imagine if Dillian Whyte fought Luis Ortiz and mollywopped him, knocked him all over the ring before dropping and stopping him. That would take PBC's top 10 guy. A top 10 guy they wheel out to make Deontay Wilder look good. That would take him off the board, out of the game, and perhaps out of the top 10. So now, that would limit Deontay Wilder's options. And he'd have to go looking for a legit top 10 fighter elsewhere. PBC don't want that. So, they keep Luis Ortiz mummified, keep him fighting low-ranking opponents. Who is Luis Ortiz's best win? It's Jennings. Bryant Jennings, 4 years ago. That's his best win. That's his highest win. Bryant Jennings, 4 years ago. So they have to keep Luis Ortiz, keep him in the glass jar. Keep him in the glass jar, ready to be wheeled out to appear before Deontay Wilder when he needs a top 10 opponent. And so, it was speculated, and I believed that PBC, here we see Luis Ortiz on the ground. How old is he there? 48? It was 2 years ago, so 47. So they had to keep Luis Ortiz locked away. They had to keep him away from Joshua. Because if Joshua mollywopped him, knocked him all over the ring, knocked him through the ropes, which I suspect would have happened, what happens to Deontay Wilder? He has to go looking elsewhere for a top 10 guy. Either Dillian Whyte or Joshua could have potentially knocked Luis Ortiz out of the top 10. PBC couldn't have that. So I speculated, as many others did, that PBC had an agreement with Luis Ortiz. But don't worry. Don't worry about not getting the Joshua fight. I think they set it up with his promoter they set the whole thing up that he wouldn't accept the Joshua fight because PBC were going to match it. PBC were going to match the Matchroom offer and forward a similar sum, $7 million, to Luis Ortiz in the winter to fight Deontay Wilder. But it would be a better situation for Ortiz, because if he loses, or rather when he loses, when he gets knocked out to Wilder again in November, no doubt they got a sweet package for him. He said, don't worry, we'll somehow keep you up high in the rankings, and there'll be more fights for you. Low-ranking fruit, low-hanging fruit. Don't worry, you're still going to keep your top 10 ranking. We got people in line for you. We have things in line. So you're going to be cool and the gang. But if you get beat by a Joshua or a Dillian White, we can't guarantee you nothing after that. It's over for you over here. So you can't lose to one of them boys over there. That was always my speculation. That was always what I thought the scenario was. But check it out. Check out the tweet from Mike Coppinger. Before this narrative that no one will face Luis Ortiz goes any further, let's not forget Eddie Hearn offered Ortiz the Anthony Joshua fight in June. Ortiz turned the fight down with a promise from PBC he'd fight Deontay Wilder in the fall. Now, Ortiz will earn in excess of $7 million. How do you like that? Just as I had speculated, BBC had a package. Turn down the Joshua fight. Don't worry, you won't lose nothing, because we will offer you the same that they offered you. But our offer is going to be better, because we're going to guarantee you some fights after that. So decline the Matchroom, the Eddie Hearn, the Anthony Joshua offer. You see, ladies and gentlemen, it was all a setup. It was all a setup. They had no intention of accepting the Matchroom offer. It was all a charade. It was all for show. Luis Ortiz, his managers, his handlers, and his promoter were all acting under instruction of PBC, Premier Boxing Champions. They couldn't really take the Joshua fight. That would be seen as an act of treachery, seen as disloyal to the Premier Boxing Champions, because they had things in line. They would match the offer of Matchroom, Hearn, Joshua in the fall. So all of those long excuses, all of those long-winded reasons why they didn't take the fight, all of the garbaggio, all of the jibber jabber, it was all just a charade. Because they had the $7 million. They already had a guarantee. Just stick around, hang tight, get your training in. We got $7 million. Whatever they offer you, we got that waiting for you. So, you see, Showtime, it just wasn't economical. because Luis Ortiz would have to get his $7 million guarantee. Deontay Wilder would have to get more than that. More than that. He's probably looking at 10 mil now. Similar figure he got for Breezel. So Showtime would have to stump up something like 17 million in guarantees. That's why they let the fight go. Said, no, we can't afford that. We can't act stupidly. We can't afford to take a loss, take a hit, just because of your backroom dealings. If they'd let Ortiz fight Joshua, he'd have got the 7 million from the zone, from Matchroom, sorry. And then now, when it comes for the Deontay Wilder fight, they'd have been looking at more reasonable figures they're more accustomed to paying Ortiz. I'm not saying reasonable, I'm saying figures they're accustomed to paying Ortiz. That's in the $500,000 range, $500,000 to $1 million range. But now, because of the inflated figures the Matchroom, the zone can offer, now they're saddled with this burden, this debt. BBC is saddled with a burden, a debt they have to fulfill to the tune of 7 million, probably 7 times more, or 6 times more than they had intended to pay him. He's probably looking at doubling his previous payday of $500,000 to $1 million. They were going to turn that $500,000 to $1 million. And they talk about the backroom deals at PBC. So okay, if they gave him, if he was on record that he got $500,000, maybe he'd have gotten $1 million at best. So Showtime or Fox would have doubled that again and turned that previous $500,000 with $1 million to $2 million. But now they're paying $7 million because of PBC's promise. So that's the situation right there. Just as I had suspected, what I had suspected has been confirmed. Luis Ortiz, PBC, Luis Ortiz, $7 million for turning down the Matchroom offer. And now they have to satisfy the debt they promised to pay to Luis Ortiz. Ha ha! So there you have it. It's Raphael Dawkins, Combat Radio. It's the like, it's the subscribe, it's the comment, it's the shares, and it is the hitting that bell icon to stay updated for news and notifications. Have your say. Leave your comment in the comment section. And be sure to follow me on Twitter for updates and news on a daily basis. It's Raphael Dawkins, it's Combat Radio, and I'm out.